story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
All right. Welcome to another week of, actually our second week of WTF Saturday.
Howdy.
Yay. And we're all coming to you from different locations in the US to talk about things affecting us good old Americans. Coming from Las Vegas is John with the headphones on and Dirk. And from Colorado, Tali, and I'm here in California.
Undisclosed location.
Oh, yeah. She's in witness protection. I keep giving her up, much like those classified documents might have given up apparently decades of years of intelligence.
Being on the witness protection program doesn't do any good if we keep telling them where you are, huh, T?
No, that's really inconvenient. I have to keep moving.
Right? Well, sorry, I know. At least you keep the background kind of the same. It's your portable sauna.
I'm clearly at Dirk's house.
Right. Totally.
But I'm in Colorado.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's just the cover. I like that. Colorado.
Like 10 feet from Dirk.
You know, you could be in Kansas, for all we know.
Yep.
Hurricanes being what they are, and you know, snazzy slippers and everything. So this week we're going to talk about current events that are affecting us all and anything that comes up for us that we feel like we want to talk with you about. There's been interesting things in the news. One thing that I kind of wanted to talk about was kind of like the rebranding of the Biden administration's media team to be a bit more solid and like stick it to them kind of thing. And you know, somebody else took over the White House Twitter, I think, a female writer, and they've been writing a lot more I won't say combative, but like just a lot more like in your face information versus kind of what they were doing before, which was just sort of a bunch of like very like benign, mild ass kissing.
Well, how long was he supposed to keep his mouth shut?
Well, they're focusing now on truth and reality. So that's why it appears to be so aggressive. You know, just telling it like it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm glad. I mean, there was a speech on Tuesday, I think, where he addressed the whole nation. And
yeah, the one out of Philadelphia.
Yeah, by the Liberty Bell or Independence Hall, and pretty much called out and tried to appeal to everyone in the country except extremists. And I feel like, you know, apparently he was really heavily criticized, of course, by the extremists for doing that.
Well,
but
I thought what was interesting about that is he did not name anybody specifically.
He did name MAGA Republicans.
That's right. He said MAGA Republicans, and that's all he said. And then all of these fucking people came out of the woodwork and started raising hell. And it's like, hey, I'm one of those people. I'm you know, idiots. So, and it's like if Dirk, for example, was calling old white guys racist, I wouldn't be offended because I know I'm not a racist. I mean, I'm unilaterally, I hate everybody. So that's.
You're a non-discriminatory hater.
I'm a non-discriminatory hater.
Well, personally, I like it when the trash takes itself out. So if they want to identify themselves and we didn't know it before, I'm good with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm good with that too. I really feel like Democrats and people that are not extremists kind of needed somebody in power to point it out.
We just talked about this last week.
Yeah, I'm glad. I know, and they followed suit. They must have been watching our show.
Yeah. See,
I know. We were like, we need them to like get bold and to like say what the problem is and tell everybody. And then they just went and did it just 2 days later.
See, Dirk, your words carry some weight, man. They finally fucking listened to you after all these years.
Really? Now, if I get
Well, I
my
think
daughters to do that, I'd be good.
Yeah.
I
So
think it's
are you gonna run for
interesting-
sheriff again?
No.
How about governor?
What'd you say, Tally?
Oh, I think it's interesting that what was it, semi-fascists, I guess is what he called them. I don't know why he
Right.
didn't just go ahead and go all the way, but
Go full fascist.
but the semi-fascists have been talking about this and saying that they think it will appeal like to Democrats, like to switch over to be Republicans because he called them semi-fascists. And I just don't know how
That's bullshit.
that doesn't really sound appealing to me.
That's brilliant logic.
I mean, what Biden said was just that everybody, if you're a Democrat, an independent, or a mainstream Republican, and you're not hell bent on destroying our democracy and rights, you can come over to our party. And so that their response was just, oh yeah, that's going to make everyone come over to the Republican side, or like the MAGA side. Was just, that's kind of how insane people fight. They just kind of reflect what you said and steal it and then flip it around. That's Trump's rhetoric.
I mean, I think if you're not elderly, I think if you're not elderly and you're not a politician, calling these people semi-fascists is pretty gentle.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that it's totally easy and reasonable to say that somebody's a fascist when they say that they believe in a person, like without fully believe in a person above party, above government, above law, above anything, that you just fully 100% back a person. You're a fascist. That's easy.
Well, yeah, and if the fascist is, what did he say? Trying to take away everyone's rights, as well as promoting other authoritarian leaders across the world, political violence, undermining the right to vote, like that's fascism to a T. And the little he said was so criticized. They were like, he's being mean. He's saying mean things. He's pointing a finger. And so it's like,
mean?
I mean, he barely said, he said the truth. And I think there's this, I was looking at this awesome statement, actually, one of CNN's, I guess, sadly, like ex White House correspondents was let go, which is sad. His name was John Harwood. I mean, in his farewell to CNN, because CNN got taken over by this guy, Chris somebody, and
Chris Hansen, and he's here with some iced tea and lemonade.
Yeah, and he's pretty much trying to make CNN centrist, or like what he said is factual, but the person who owns CNN is a hardcore MAGA Republican. And so they're pretty much pushing CNN more to the right. And all of their liberal correspondents that are opinionated, AKA want to report on what is happening that's true, are being removed, or what's it called? Let go. And so what Harwood said on his way out was, in criticism to Biden's speech, he said what Biden said about our democracy was true. And as journalists, it's not something that's easy for us to say, because we're brought up to believe there's two different political parties with different points of view, and that we shouldn't take sides. But he said this isn't about taking sides, because these are not honest disagreements. The Republican Party is led by a dishonest demagogue, and we have to call it out. He said Republicans are rallying behind a substantial amount of lies, and the president is offering to pardon those people. And pretty much he was just like, what we're reporting on is true. These aren't opinions. Therefore, this isn't political. It's true. And that was his farewell speech on his last day of work.
Right.
Well,
it's Chris Licht who's taking over, just to be clear.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. And yeah. I think even Colbert thinks he's a dickhead. Sorry, what were you going to say, Dirk?
Here's 2 points about that. First of all, it's very interesting that they said he's being mean, but they didn't say he wasn't telling the truth.
Right.
I thought that was interesting. The second thing is, a lot of those people that got offended about the semi-fascists don't even know what it means.
Yeah, I know.
So I find that fascinating too.
Right.
They're just buzzwords.
Right. Well, they also think that they know what socialist means and communist and a lot of other big words.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so fascism, just so that we all know, it's a system of government marked by centralization of authority under a dictator, or a capitalist economy subject to stringent governmental controls and violent suppression of the opposition, and typically a policy of belligerent nationalism and racism.
That sounds familiar.
Hey, that sounds like
I would give anything. I know there's two of us here that are old enough to remember this, but I would give anything to have Walter Cronkite be reporting what's going on in the country today.
Oh, I
mean,
think we should be clear. Just unfortunately, this isn't. Well, this is enough of the beginning of the show that we should say it, that we are not all Democrats, just to be very clear. This isn't like.
Oh yeah, because you're a Republican.
It's not just Democrats who hate this guy and see what's actually going on.
Right.
No, it's
Well, I'm not a
reasonably intelligent
Democrat.
individuals. Yeah.
Right. Like this isn't like a group of Democrats just bashing the Republican.
No.
But
It's
that's
a group
not how
of
we
Americans
started.
bashing some bully meanies.
Something
And-
that is terrifying.
but
Yeah.
we haven't really bashed him yet. We've just no, I mean seriously.
Oh, yeah.
Today we've only said what's actually happening. So if they feel like that's
Oh,
being
yeah.
bashed, I don't know what to tell them.
I mean, it's the tip of the iceberg for the week, too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's some scary shit.
I mean, if you want to talk about bashing him, did you guys see Bill Barr go on Fox News?
Yeah.
No.
Bill Barr, the previous
That was
attorney general,
brilliant. That was
went on Fox
brilliant.
News and was like, so yeah, the documents at Mar-a-Lago, that was done irresponsibly, even if he declassified them. Him waving a magic wand over this pile of documents and saying, these are declassified now, is just as horrible as him taking them in the first place if he didn't know what they were and declassified them, and that there's no excuse for it. And he said on Fox News, fortunately, that they've had, with the idea that they should have gotten another subpoena or this and that. And he was like, they made requests for over a year to try to get these documents back. Multiple times they didn't cooperate, and this was a natural next step. And he pretty much threw the ex-president under the bus.
Yeah, big
Right. It
time.
was clear that this was going to happen, and he was basically just like been warned over and over and over. Like,
Well,
I wanted it to happen, but I figured when it happened, there wouldn't be anything there because he's been so warned for so long.
And I think
I mean,
the
the
thing that was
empty
brilliant.
folders is scary.
Right. That's scary. That's super scary. I was just listening this morning, though, and it's kind of funny that like a bunch of this stuff was like mixed in with newspapers and other stuff. Like some of it was mixed in with clothes, like as though they would just be like, oh, this is a pile of clothes. Let's go.
I think the scary part is that they've got documents that are not in their folders and they don't know what they
That's
Yeah,
where they
that's
that's some scary shit.
yeah. The
And the
empty
thing is that
folders.
we all know that the only reason to have these documents is to be able to use them for leverage for something. I mean, even if I mean, and I'm just making shit up here. I have no basis for. Well, I do have basis for my opinion, but if he's got all these documents and his relationship with Putin in the past has been, he's been trying to kiss up to him for years. So, and now it's, that's kind of cooled off. And here's his way of saying, dude, look what I got for you. Look what I got for you. Hey, come on, can we be friends again? That's what I think. And
Yeah, I
just
don't know.
or how much could he sell this for? Yeah.
Right. Well,
don't know
I
if
was
we can say
talking
that
about.
he's used it for leverage, though. Or
Pardon me?
whatever. But we can say this because I don't want people to start blaming us and saying, "Oh, look, you guys are accusing him." I'm not accusing him of anything except for the fact we know he took the documents.
Right.
Now, all you have to do is think about it. Why would he have those documents? What is he going to use them for?
And why wouldn't he return them?
Yeah, and why
Yeah,
wouldn't
and
he
lie
return
about
them?
it. Yeah. Yep. No, you guys got everything. Nope. No more stuff. We got it right here. You got it all.
I mean, I think like in a negligent way, at the least harm was he didn't know what he was taking. They were mixed in with a bunch of stuff because he was incredibly disorganized. He didn't know he had those documents. He didn't know that they were there. He didn't use them for anything. They were just sitting around in boxes. And he just was very bad at like managing stuff. And he just had them mixed in with his fan mail from Kim Jong-un, you know?
Right?
That's the guy I want running the United States. Woo.
So yeah, like, even if that's the case, he was like incredibly negligent because, you know, people come and stay there all the time at his property. I mean, and multiple times, like people are admitting that like, oh yeah, we're in that room, we're hanging out in that room. He has people in that room. And it's like, oh, that's the secure room that they were keeping this stuff in. Like if anybody was trying to take advantage of his incompetence, they could have easily infiltrated his property. And I mean, and I can't imagine that there aren't also spies from other countries that we're spying on that wouldn't have loved to have had that information. And I don't think it's a surprise that, what was it, like an unprecedented amount of undercover agents in countries were killed over this since, you know, killed recently and found out and discovered. And it's like, not only are these people's names in those documents, but the techniques that were used in order to install them in the places that they were as undercover. And so it's like, we're kind of like, really, like those documents potentially revealed our entire like secret intelligence strategy. And so like even techniques that we might have used that we might still have wanted to use are now outed. And so it's like, I mean, I feel like spying it's weird anyway, because it's like you're not supposed to be spying, but like everybody does it. So I don't know even how I feel about spying in general, but like everybody's spying. Except us now. We might have been outed.
I like it just fine. I think we're supposed to. Everybody else does. You got to keep an eye on your people. Depends on what you use it for. But the fact of the matter is,
you're not supposed to kill them.
The problem is, it is part of the international game. It is part of the politics. And the fact of the matter is, with him giving that information out, he's literally set back our intelligence apparatus 10, 20 years, maybe more, and it cost us billions of dollars. Even if he didn't screw up the system, we don't know if he screwed up the system. We don't know who had access to it. So whatever you're not sure of, you can't use.
I think it's already too late. If he's had that stuff for over a year, or at least a year, it's already too late. At least half of that shit's already out there.
I mean, you know,
that's my biggest fear.
It's like Xi Jinping.
That they can't tie any deaths of agents to those documents. Because if they can do that, he's fucked.
Well, I mean, I imagine he's already fucked. I mean, you know, he's been fucked so many times though, and so it's like, wow,
right?
How does he keep getting fucked so bad and then getting off? I guess, like, you know, you get fucked, you get off. It's kind of part of getting
fucked.
Well,
there's a difference between being fucked for having classified documents and not turning them back. But there's another one for getting somebody killed because of your incompetence or your malfeasance. There's a big difference.
I mean, I think that, like, I don't know, it seemed like just nothing was going to happen to him. And so it's easy to still feel that way. But I think, I don't know if I think, but I hope that because it took this long, maybe it's because they really did just want to have all their ducks in a row and make sure that they had something that would stick. So I guess that's just what I'm hoping for. But I'm curious what you guys think about the lawyer. I've forgotten what her name is, but she's wanted to like make it really clear that she searched Mar-a-Lago like repeatedly and like with a fine-tooth comb, basically gone through the areas that they found stuff and just everywhere. Like, she wants to be really clear about this, and I don't know what exactly.
What lawyer? One of his lawyers?
For. Yes, one of his lawyers.
The one that used to represent all the parking lot companies. That
I
one?
don't know about that. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what she did. The one that supposedly signed the document that says, yeah, hey, you know, his new one, the one that's on the news all the time, the woman, I can't remember her name.
He wants to
Okay,
be
it
clear
is a
about
woman,
what?
but yeah, that she, like herself, prior to this raid, searched Mar-a-Lago for all of these documents, like over and over, and like really well, looked in all these places and didn't find anything. And I don't know if she is trying to make herself sound incompetent, or like if she's trying to make it sound like these things have been planted now.
That's exactly
I
what
can't think
she's
of
doing.
anything else, but
He's
I
already
think that's
admitted
a
to having
really-
the documents.
he's
Yeah.
admitted to having the documents, and like there's body cam footage and everything, I assume. Like,
But, I mean, at the same time, he admitted to bribing, to like withholding aid from the Ukraine, right? You know, like, and that's what they impeached him for. That's what they had evidence of. That's like, you know, that whole thing happened, and he admitted it, and still he was let off. So
I'm
it's
just
kind
curious what she thinks she's doing. Like, what game does she think she's playing? He's
I mean, she probably
already
has a
admitted it.
strategy, a
There's-
legal defense strategy that she's thinking she's going to go for,
but
and he
it sounds
keeps
like
he
she's
keeps
throwing
undermining it.
It just sounds like she's throwing herself under the bus.
But
And
she's
No,
not
because
smart enough to know
When
that.
you think about it, all these MAGA people that love him have always done that. They've always thrown themselves under the bus because they believe in what his philosophy, which is if you tell a lie enough times, hopefully people are going to buy it. And they're not trying to sell it to us.
Right.
They're trying to sell it to his followers because we already know it's bullshit. She knows it's bullshit. He's already fucking admitted it. So for them to be saying this stuff, it's ridiculous. It's actually embarrassing, to be honest with you. But, you know, she is one of Trump's lawyers, and we know how amazing and well-versed in the law all of his lawyers are.
Well, he hasn't gone to jail yet.
yeah.
The interesting thing that I think, going back to what you were talking about, Tally, that the interviews that I've seen with people who have known Garland for a long time, they say that this is basically his strategy. When he's going to do everything he can to make sure this case is airtight. There's no getting around it. And he's crossing all the T's, dotting all the I's, and just, okay, then when he hands over the package, it's a done deal. You know, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. And I've heard half a dozen people that have served with him or knew him when he was a judge and all of that. And they all say the same thing. That's
I mean, that's what he better do.
right.
But even if that's the
Yeah.
case, right, he'll still have a trial and a jury. And
But that's only one case. I mean, you still got New York, you still got Georgia, you still got all the other shit that's going on around here. And it's like, I think what's the district attorney's name in Georgia that's really gonna nail his ass? Well, yeah, she's has convened the grand jury, and they're gonna subpoena him to come in and talk.
the same one that's going after
Rachel.
Lindsey Graham.
Rachel,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
understand what you're
That's
saying.
part of the same grand jury. Yeah.
Right.
So
I understand
God.
what you're saying, Rachel, but the bottom line is the reason he has not gone to jail yet has nothing to do with the fact of whether he's guilty or not guilty or he has good lawyers.
Right.
His lawyers haven't proven a fucking thing yet. What they've done is they've obstructed justice enough times, or they put shit off enough times, and the power of his cult personality, this would be like trying to arrest Hitler or Mussolini during World War II, you know? So yeah, they've got to make sure they have their ducks in a row before they're going to put this guy away. But
Yeah,
they have to
would
make
it
sure
even
competent
be-
lawyers.
They have
Would
to
it
make
even
sure
be
that Congress has
possible-
nothing to do with it. that the Republicans in Congress have no leg to stand on. So
yeah, I mean, I don't even see how it would be possible to convict him if he had any sort of jury trial somewhere.
well, finding a jury of his peers is impossible.
Yeah,
I
right.
don't know. There's some shit going on in Mississippi, probably might.
No, but you could find a jury full of his worshipers.
Yeah,
I mean, if you
that's
could find
the
it-
thing.
yeah, like how are you going to find 12 people who, like, none of them are MAGA freaks?
Could you imagine the jury selection process in a case like that? In that case, I mean, Dirk, you know probably more about this than any of us. So if you have a trial and you have, you know, opposing counsels, how many rejections do they normally get?
Well, here's the thing.
Right.
My daughter just went to she had jury duty last week. And when she went, she said she was one of the last of the group that got released. But she said it was just fascinating to her because she hadn't really thought about it up until that point. But the trial had to do with a white business owner for something or other. And she said that all the group that was let go were all Black females, Asians, you know, everybody who wasn't a white male,
Yeah.
they let go.
So
I served
what about
on a jury.
the opposing counsel?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't doubt that in the slightest. Yeah. So anyway.
Well, I served on a jury, and I was the foreperson of my jury, because at first everybody thought that I was wonderful and smart, and
Well, you are.
well, at the end they didn't really think that so much, and I hung my jury.
Listen, if I was on trial for anything at all, I would want you on my jury.
Oh, thank
Because
you.
Well, your friend, you know, it's good to pick your friend.
No. I'm telling you, I've seen her dig for evidence. I've seen her go after, you know, people that were lying and really saying, okay, here's what's really happening. So that's the kind of person I would want on the jury for me. I wouldn't want somebody. Yeah, right, Dirk, you've seen it too. So.
Well, at the end of the day, I hung my jury, and there was no other possibility unless I wasn't there, and they didn't have somebody who cared.
Were you the only holdout?
Well, it was a case against a large corporation, and but the fact of the matter was that they didn't do what they were accused of doing.
Okay.
And that they were actually being sued by somebody who didn't have rights to what they were suing for. So at the end of the day, it didn't even matter if they had done something wrong, but turns out they really didn't. And it should have been easy,
get a hung jury out of that?
Because everybody else there didn't like large corporations.
Right.
They just wanted to punish the corporation.
Here's a chance for somebody to
one
get money out of them.
who was just like, this wasn't against Walmart, but this person was like, my cousin worked for Walmart and got really screwed and like got fired for this and didn't get their whatever, like, and just went on about it, and everyone was just like, that's terrible. And I hate large corporations because of this. These people had stories of why they hated large corporations, and it was really fascinating, I'm sure, but it just didn't have anything to do with anything.
Isn't that how bigotry and prejudice works? Somebody did something to me, so everybody or everything that's like that is bad.
Yeah, I mean,
just explain the reason why, if Trump does get, I don't care how good a case is on him, there's a very good possibility he will not go to jail or be convicted.
I don't think that,
like right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so that brings up an interesting question, and that is, would he be required to have a jury trial?
Well, that would generally, I think in most cases, that would be up to him. And that's an interesting question, because I wonder what he would want to go with. I don't know.
No, there's no doubt in my mind, if it's his decision, he'll want a jury trial.
I mean, do they throw people in Guantanamo Bay? I mean, do those people get a trial?
No.
No, none of them have had trials yet.
So this is like our intelligence agencies realizing that they're a giant threat to our whatever and putting them in a jail where they don't get a trial.
Right.
I mean, so that could happen.
Well, he's a U.S.
Well,
citizen,
especially if he's convicted under the Espionage Act.
but he's a U.S. citizen, so I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
Even worse.
I think that's more speculation than I want to deal with.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is that under most cases, he's going to be able to request a jury trial. And honestly, I just find it's a tragedy that in this country, you will literally have people that could possibly be on the jury that will vote to set him free, exonerate him, even though he's already admitted he took the stuff, that he violated the act. They can justify in their mind any reason for him doing any of the stuff he's done over the last however many 6 years and get away with it. He's admitted he's done these things, and they still say, oh, but that's okay, because he had another reason for it, and it was against this corrupt system. Doesn't matter.
Or not even it's not okay. It's like they don't care.
They don't care.
You know, like the bribing.
It doesn't matter how you win as long as you win.
I just wonder if
It doesn't matter.
if the
You can
judge-
cheat, you can lie, you can steal, you can kill people, whatever. As long as you win, that's all that matters.
I wonder if a judge can decide on whether you're getting a bench or jury trial. I don't know.
I don't know. It's unprecedented. I mean, there's nothing.
I'm so curious to see the next steps of this. I mean, I think
Yeah.
at least, hopefully. I mean, I think what because I think about like big strategy. It's like, okay, like the people that own the media are, even liberal media, are trying to like push it more to the right. Interesting, because like they are rich and they like policies that benefit them, and they want Republicans to stay in power. So they're like, we need to shift even liberal media that we own more to the right to make all this stuff seem less extreme. You know, it's like that posturing is kind of interesting. So it's like, okay, and and they're trying to. I mean, even like since this shift in CNN, like 2 CNN correspondents started making fun of Biden using Republican talking points, using Fox News talking points on CNN. And so it's like, okay, they're taking kind of mainstream, used to be liberal news, and trying to push that more to the left too, because they own everything. So it's like you have to create this illusion of there being a difference, but they're trying to move the lever a little bit. And then on top of it, it's like you have White House, like Democratic Party strategy seems to be at least make it so bad for like Trump to have just broken all these laws that the Republican Party has to abandon him as their next presidential candidate. And I think if that, it's like they kind of, I imagine, feel like they're going to have it in the bag. Like if Trump's out, they're going to win the next election. And so they're trying to do everything they can to get Trump out of the potential next election for president.
So who would they have? DeSantis?
I think it seems like they're kind of pushing DeSantis. I mean, Ted Cruz has been making a stink, but he is such a smarmy douchebag.
Please run him.
Well, he
I
never
think
win Texas
DeSantis is only the front runner because
there's nobody else.
Because by default.
Right, they're
I
all afraid of Trump.
I hope that they run Ted Cruz.
So Dirk, I was just thinking about all this shit that's going on, and I know there's a curse. I think it's a Chinese curse that may you live in interesting times. You know, and if you think about what we've experienced in our lifetime, you know, we saw a president assassinated. We saw the world on the brink of nuclear war. I mean, right up to the edge. You know, it's just this whole political thing. We've seen the civil rights movement. We've seen, you know, all of this shit in a very short span of time. You know, in the last 100 years, all of this shit that's happened. I mean, on the one hand, I'm like, this is fucking awesome. I mean, it would be nice to just be chilling all the time, but what we have experienced, so many people have not had that kind of experience that makes us stop and think about what the fuck's going on, you know?
I grew up believing certain things about this country, and it is heartbreaking to me to see that there's a very good possibility that in my lifetime we literally lose all of that. And and I think that if we lose it, we'll never get it back.
We'll never get it back.
I don't know if we're at the tipping point or we're past the tipping point, but it feels like we're almost past it. If we don't get a handle on this, then we are getting ready to be the live version of all those dystopian novels that you read about, you know, Big Brother, 1984, all this shit, the science fiction books that I read about how corporations take over and they run the world and democracy is no longer a real thing. And that's what we're on the brink of. I'm not really sure how we're going to be able to come back from this.
I think the real indicator is going to be in November as to, you know, whether we've reached that point or whether we've got a shot at pulling back. And, you know, it's looking like there is a tiny ray of hope. I mean, we need to figure out.
Yeah, ray of hope. Indigenous Alaskan woman beats
That was-
Sarah Palin.
That was awesome. That was like, yeah, well, you know, she won because it was a fixed election, you know, and that's what Sarah is saying. You know,
Right.
It was fixed, you know, so, but no, and that's what I'm talking about. There's these little sparks coming
Like,
up
how
here
can
and there.
every election?
Fetterman, I think Fetterman is going to be, if he pulls that off, I think that's going to be, you know, like opening the crack just a little more. So
He's got to
you got
win.
Stacey Abrams, you got, you know, people like that could very well determine which way we go in the next year or two. So
I know, I mean, and if shit hits the fan, we always have Batman.
that's right.
We have vigilante justice. I mean, Batman was kind of a superhero for the rich, and so
Yeah.
I think actually he was kind of messed up. But somebody else, a little more altruistic, Captain America.
Well, you can't have Superman because he's an alien. So
And we can have. I accept help
Yeah.
from aliens. I would
Okay,
like to just
yep, me
announce
too.
that publicly. If there are aliens out there, wherever you are, and you're just kind of watching, making sure we
Yeah.
don't blow each other up, like
Rachel
maybe
would like
like
your help.
infiltrate a little bit more to kind of just like help us evolve faster. Give it, you know.
Oh, us. I thought you meant personally you would like
I
their help.
personally will accept help from aliens too. If you're not already helping me, I mean.
Oh, so
what the fuck, Dirk? You
back
look like
to-
you're pissed off at the world, man.
And I'm like, Dirk, you don't want alien support? You're like, I'm getting alien support already. I just can't say anything.
He can't talk about it.
Ramble on.
Yeah, he
But
can't talk about it.
I was actually sitting here thinking about the fact that so much of our country is dependent upon voters who are willing to, they don't even accept the lies. They're just willing to throw them out there because it helps their case. And it just makes me sad. You know, it's one thing if you think, okay, well, you know, I support Trump and he's my guy, and you can give me some decent reasons as to why you support him, but they can't ever give me any decent reasons for why they support him. They can't give me any decent reasons for why he's done the illegal things and admitted he did the illegal things. They know he did the illegal things, but they make excuses for it. It just baffles me that we have so many people that are out there like this that are willing to vote and just fuck over the country. I don't know. I'm just.
well, I always hear like, oh, he's done such amazing things. Like he's been better than any other president we've ever had.
But he hasn't done shit.
But that's what they say. This
Yeah,
is
but
what
they
they
can't say
say.
why.
And they say like with that, like with all the amazing things he's done, like I can accept the rest of it because he's just been so much better than any president, like in my lifetime, or literally a lot of them say
In the history of presidents. Yeah.
that we've ever had. And yes, these are not people who follow government or politics.
I
And
mean, it'd be hard
Or
for them to
anything
say. I mean,
relevant.
They could just say like, I like him because he was on TV on a talent show and he used Biff from Back to the Future and he represents like wealth and power, but somehow still seems down to earth and he's kind of like people like me. And I don't really know why I like him, but I've kind of just been brainwashed to like him because he projects the image of power and he's kind of speaks like me and people like me. And I'm not really that interested in politics, but I just like him because I have a feeling and I don't really know what's going on. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like,
And it pisses off the libtards.
Right.
yeah, and I'm definitely not like those smart, educated, like university type liberals that want to save the planet and like stop polluting the air and tax people and everything. I'm not like them. So
Speaking of university, I finally heard, I guess, an argument against the loan forgiveness.
oh yeah, that happened.
Yes. So I finally heard something other than like, I just want other people to suffer like I did, which is that people are going to be taxed on this. And like, if you get your loan forgiven, you're going to be taxed on it. And
Like the forgiveness was income.
yeah, I guess so. I haven't actually seen how
I don't
it's
know.
taxed or whatever, but like that, like this tax is just going to destroy people and crush them. And like,
And see, I don't think that's possible because, number one, the whole loan forgiveness thing, I support because most of these people have already paid back the loan. I mean, they've already paid back whatever it is they borrowed, and they still owe more than they borrowed because of the predatory lending practices.
Okay, you
I'm
shouldn't
not
have to
saying
be
this is
paying
a
3 to 5
good
times
argument.
more than what you borrowed to have borrowed money from the government, which shouldn't be making a profit to go to school.
Right.
Right. I'm not saying that this is a good argument or
Yeah, no,
even
I know.
true, but
I don't know about that.
I just finally heard a different argument than I want everybody else to suffer.
Yeah.
I don't think that's true.
When
Yeah,
I know
no,
if you
it
have
sounds
like if you
retarded,
have
but-
income-driven repayment on your student loans, which is like when I went to school, that was the plan where it's like you pay based on your income, and then if you pay consistently for 20 or 25 years, they'll forgive the principal of the balance that you owe, but you still owe tax on the amount that's forgiven as well as still owe the interest.
Right.
And so that does apply to income-driven repayment, as far as I know. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's like you have to claim this $10,000 or $20,000 as something that you're getting and pay taxes on it. And it depends how poor you are, whether or not that's going to, I mean, for some people, if they have to claim that as income, yeah, it would push them into a different income bracket. They'd have to pay more for health insurance. They'd also have to pay, 15% or more tax on it. If they're unemployed, like I am, or if they're self-employed, if they're unemployed, like I am, if they're self-employed, they'd have to then pay another 7.5% for, to pay their Social Security as well, or actually 15%, because you have to pay
both sides.
Yeah, so it's like it seems kind of like a real backward slap in the face forgiveness if they're gonna give you 20 grand or 10 grand and then make you pay taxes on it. But I wouldn't be surprised.
We'll see.
But would you?
I'm so curious.
Well, then would you have the option then of refusing the forgiveness?
No, I think you have to apply for it.
That's correct. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And would you rather have your loan forgiven
and pay the taxes
and pay taxes, or would you rather pay your loan and the taxes?
So how bad is the penalty for getting the loan forgiven and choosing not to pay your taxes?
So I'm looking at this right now. Apparently some states are choosing to tax the loan forgiveness and some states aren't.
Okay, so it's a state thing. It's not a
Okay,
a
so like
federal
in
thing.
Nevada, it wouldn't even apply to you.
Do you know
think
which
it's just saying
states? Does it list the states?
Some states will. Let's see, taxes on certain states. 37 states have chosen conformity with the federal tax system. There are 13 states where they might tax it. Those 13 states are Arkansas is undecided. Minnesota is undecided. West Virginia and Wisconsin are undecided. And then these other states, it says they will not levy income tax. So I don't know what that means, but that's Virginia, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, New York, Mississippi, Massachusetts, Kentucky, and Idaho.
So what the fuck
So
does that mean?
those are the states that have not said that they're conforming to federal tax code.
Okay.
So, you know, depending on what they choose to do, they're states that say that we don't do what the feds do.
Gotcha. So they're leaving the door open to make up their own rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so who knows what they'll choose to do. I imagine in states like Massachusetts and New York, maybe they wouldn't. And maybe some state, I mean, I think a lot of, you know, potentially another article that I kind of glimpsed was like some southern states, because they don't like the Biden administration, are going to like punish people for accepting this forgiveness and tax them, like to punish them, kind of a thing. Which sounds like
I mean,
shit.
the whole concept behind that shit is so stupid, because giving these people a little extra cash is going to do more to help this economy than anything else we could do. I mean, putting money in the hands of people who spend it is what drives the economy.
I get that they're like giving like little drips of money to people wherever they can, and that it does make a difference for people. But at the same time, it's like, it really, I mean, and so many people have come out and said this, like, this forgives like a couple years worth of the interest that I accrued. They're not addressing the problem. They're not addressing the predatory lending. They're not really like, and I think because of what a president can do is very limited to certain things without congressional support.
Right.
That he, like, this is within what he can do. And I think they're also maybe trying this to see if he can get away with doing this, that maybe they would do it again when they realize like, oh, wow, that didn't actually do anything. Because I don't know too many people that have borrowed $10,000 or $20,000. I know plenty of people that have borrowed $100,000 and now owe double that because of the interest, and it really is like a drop in the bucket. So, I mean, it's at least a drop, but it's, you know, compared to like forgiving millions of dollars of PPP loans for every corporation out there, it's really not comparable, and it's a shame that it's being looked at as like, oh, we're giving poor people this grand benefit that's going to really help them for generations to come. And it's like, probably not that grand.
I just wonder why there's no, it just seems to me there ought to be some way to come up with a class action suit against predatory lending in some way. Somebody needs to do something about that legally and just go after those guys. I would love to see that.
I would love to see that too. I mean, yeah, I can't imagine that there's so many people that are in this situation, trap, I guess. And it's like, you know, like I think a lot of the other side, like a lot of people that are like, shame on you for borrowing that money, shame on you. And it's like, you know, like what, like lower class or like lower middle class poor family like is like well versed in like reading pages and pages of loan paperwork that they're signing so that their kid can have a future. And what kid who's 18 years old and graduated from public school and happens to like want to go to a good school and needs to borrow money because their family can't pay for it? Like, of those people, like how in the world did those people know what they were signing fully when it's written in legalese, it's pages and pages of documentation? They're told something different by the people handing them the papers. And they have kind of like a blind trust in the government and the institution who's offering these loans that they're something that's fair. And granted, oh yeah, like shame on you for not reading 20 pages of legal paperwork associated with these loans that you probably aren't trained well enough to be able to have understood in the first place.
Okay, but there's two other issues to go with that, because that is true. And that's where a lot of the people that hate this idea of loan forgiveness fall on. Oh, well, you had the paperwork there. If you didn't read it, that's your problem. But there's a number of things that have to be addressed as well. And that is the fact that a lot of those poor kids went to college because they were told, we will never give you a fucking job unless you're educated, because you're black or you're brown or you're whatever. And so they've been told all these decades, we're not giving you anything unless you have some kind of education to show you're as good as a white person. And so they went out and they did this. They did their best to get what they could. Some of them are the first kids that ever went to college from their family. And they did it with the hope of making a better life. And now, and this all happens right around the same time, they get into college, and now you have these predatory people that are starting, because here's the other problem. Yeah, we signed all that paperwork, but then somebody came and bought that company and bought that loan, and then they tacked more interest onto it. And for some people, that's happened 2 or 3 times, maybe 4 times. And that's why the interest rates are so incredibly high. I don't think that's fucking legal.
But there was a little clause in that contract that maybe you didn't understand that said that it's possible that your interest rate might be variable. It's possible that your loan might be rebought and resold. But you didn't see that on page 20, line 350 of the contract.
But if you did see it, if you're just an average person, is that going to deter you? Because you're not going to think, well, they're going to really fuck me over the first chance they get.
I mean, in a bit of what I feel like when you're talking about this, Dirk, it kind of feels to me in a way kind of like the subprime mortgages that they sold to poor people, or subprime auto loans that they gave to people, where they're like, you need this to get ahead. We're going to make it look like we're going to give it to you, but really we're going to punish you for getting it. And in the end, we're going to use it to bankrupt you and take away everything that you put money into to try to get ahead for you and your family. But we're going to make it look good on the surface. It's like, you know, when you accept these loans and go to school and then get out and apply for jobs, and it's like, oh, you got a degree and whatnot, and now you can go work as a barista.
Yeah.
Or you can go work on an assembly line with that degree.
Rachel, that's not even the tragedy. That's bad enough. But
that the jobs aren't there.
Huh?
That the jobs that everyone was promised they'd be able to get, making $20, $30, $50 an hour to pay back these loans, didn't exist anymore.
No, but the tragedy is that even when these companies did all that stuff and screwed over Americans and made more money off of it, when that shit blew up in their faces, the government gave them money to help them out.
Right? And then the banks owned all that property. People are sleeping out in the street.
Assholes.
Yeah. The governments are supporting the predatory assholes.
Yep.
Yep.
Hey guys,
That pretty much sums it up.
And
So our final thought for the day is don't be a predatory asshole.
Yes.
Yeah, we're running out of time again, guys. So
I just think that instead of the government doing loan forgiveness, they ought to fucking take these motherfuckers to court. I would love to see that trial televised. I would love to see that, because even people that talk about loan forgiveness, shit like that, if they actually saw what was behind all this shit, I think even they would be happy for the college kids.
Does that include Margaret Taylor Greene?
No, she's not intelligent enough to read. So
I mean, they're still doing it. These loans are still being given to people.
Go to college?
Yeah, they're still doing this. Like, you know, these companies are still doing this, and it's like, yeah, the government can write off all of these companies' debt, but it can't do that to actual human beings. And I mean, that's where the lobbyists are just influencing politics.
Okay, but
it's like Trump, though. You're gonna if you're doing something wrong and people are letting you get away with it, you're gonna keep doing it until somebody gives you some consequences for it.
And the people that would create those consequences are the ones that are benefiting from that program. So they're not going to say, oh, no,
The full
stop
circle.
doing that. Yeah. Anyway, hey, we got to wrap it up again. So a quick question before we go, Rach. Where's the jumping bagel?
Oh, the jumping bagel is
Isn't he at Burning Man?
The
Yeah.
Burning Man.
he's on the playa, aka Black Rock City, aka Burning Man, and it's Saturday morning, so he's probably about to take a bunch of drugs. No, I'm just kidding.
No,
hopefully he's having a great time out there and that
REL
he's safe.
does not do drugs.
Right, yeah, he doesn't.
He's a T
It doesn't
guy.
matter.
Nothing
You guys
illegal,
understand
nothing
the term-
illegal.
You guys understand the term contact high, right?
Mm-hmm.
I rest my case.
Been there, done that.
Yeah.
Okay, so she has a degree in business administration.
Who does?
Marjorie Taylor Greene?
Yes,
No fucking way.
indeed.
She
From
can't
where?
even fucking read.
From where?
University of Georgia.
I'm sorry.
well,
I
then-
still say Marjorie Taylor Greene is a dude. I don't give a shit what anybody says.
Well,
The
then,
more I see her, the more I'm convinced.
so you're saying that she got the same level of education as Herschel Walker?
Oh, God.
He
That
must
sounds
have
about
a
right. Did he go to University of Georgia?
I've never heard so many people that are supposedly have degrees and that are supposedly leaders in our community say so many things that are so stupid. I mean, this is the woman that talked about
Jewish space lasers?
no, fuck that. She was talking about solar power.
that was too much.
Yeah, so when the sun went down, then all the power would go. I was like,
Yes.
That's why she's against solar power, because you wouldn't have any light at night.
right, it's a fucking idiot. Wow.
Anyway,
All right,
So,
guys.
yeah. Hey,
We,
guys.
we talked about everything. I mean, I think we should title the show like Predatory Lending, Aliens, Classified Documents, and Not Intelligent Intelligence.
Aliens who
No.
steal confidential documents regarding predatory lending.
There you go.
I think we ought to just title it what it is. What the
Predatory
fuck?
loans from aliens.
Yeah, I know, right? Just a little bit more of
Aliens,
Thursday, Friday,
aliens, yeah,
Saturday.
aliens offering predatory lenders or
Yes.
loans.
Exactly.
beware of
Predatory
aliens
loans
offering
from
predatory
aliens.
loans and classified.
Hey, Dirk,
situation.
I'm sorry, Dirk, you weren't here. We're still good for this time frame through the end of September.
Okay.
Okay, so I
Right.
I told everybody else, but you weren't here yet. So same time next week, same bat channel. Guys, love you all. Thanks, and at least I know there's 4 of us that got some fucking brains in this country.
Thank God. So I'm going to try to figure out next week. I mean, I like just kind of talking about current events because there's so much going on. But if you guys have like an idea of something specific you want to focus on, we could totally do that.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds
And
good.
hey, Dirk, we got to go do lunch sometime, man. I haven't seen you in a while.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
All
I
right.
want lunch.
Well, come on
Me
down.
too. I'm starving.
Me too,
All right,
okay.
somebody send me some food.
You
All
guys
right.
show up, we'll buy you lunch.
There you go.
Okay,
All right.
deal.
Love
That's
you guys.
probably actually gonna happen soon.
Love you
Oh,
guys.
cool.
Be
See you
careful.
soon.
All
Ooh,
right.
cool.
See y'all.